In January of 2026, former governor of New Jersey signed statewide legislation for the upcoming school year banning the use of personal internet-enabled devices on a bell-to-bell schedule. The intro and video you're about to watch, as well as all my other videos, were primarily filmed on a cell phone. This statewide rule forces me to use my own money to buy a camera in order to continue to film at school. While I don't ask for your money, I do implore you to do at least one of three things. Watch the video to the end and check out my channel. Comment what else you would like to see from me, or subscribe and hit the bell. Each of these are totally free, require little time, and go a long way to helping me buy the Canon R50. Now cue my intro! What the heck is going on right now? We have the David preliminary trial and the death of Nolan Wells. I'm genuinely shocked. I just spent the last half an hour researching on the David preliminary trial. If you don't know about it, the singer and artist who I really held so dearly has gone to trial for the murder of Celeste Hernandez, a 14-year-old girl. However, the evidence shows that their relationship started when she was only 11 years old. And over the course of 3 years, he continually pressured her to increase the status of the relationship until eventually he called an Uber from her house to his house in LA. And that was the last time that she was ever seen alive. A few weeks later, her dismembered body was found inside of his car. And now he's at trial. And the evidence is pretty convincing because a lot of the original speculation had to do with things that couldn't necessarily be proven. But the photos recovered from iCloud on their devices have shown completely different things. It shows that he's the one who's trying to push for a continued relationship. So not only are they attempting to prosecute him with murder, but they're also trying to persecute him for continuous sexual abuse of a minor and dismemberment of human remains. So it's a lot, but the evidence is pretty damning. I didn't want to believe that at first, but after watching this video and seeing this evidence, it's very likely that this case is going to go to trial and he's going to be convicted for at least continual sexual abuse of a minor. And then the Nolan Wells case, again, I didn't want to believe that Nolan was murdered or that there was any sort of foul play. I really just thought that the kids that he was hanging out with on the island, I thought they were just trying to be, protective of their own selves, but there was an audio released and it shows a lot more damning evidence than what was previously presented to the public. So if you don't know about Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old from Mississippi, a very promising future in football. And on the 4th of July, he went out with a couple of friends to an island. There were roughly 4 other friends. And one of the white kids borrows his grandfather's boat and they go out. And at some point, I believe on the way back, the boat starts taking on water. So they call a towing company. And in the phone call, in the background, we heard a lot of conversation going on. But the general gist of it is that the people with Nolan were attempting to revive Nolan in some sort of way. They were screaming at Nolan to wake the F up. And then eventually they started arguing that one of them killed Nolan. And it was just a lot of back and forth conversation. But everything was extremely sketchy. And then afterwards, the girl started screaming, "He's dead." There were questions raised of whether they could hide the fact that Nolan died, presumably as a result of their influence in his death. And I don't like all the speculation that's going on. Like, my friend thinks that they lynched him and that it was racially motivated. And as of right now, I know nothing of the cause of death. Not even his blood alcohol content has been released to the best of my knowledge, meaning that they're withholding a lot of information. So I can't really form an opinion. I don't like to speculate too much, but I highly doubt that there was any sort of racial foul play going on. I think it was most likely some form of an accident due to the fact that they were screaming at Nolan not to die. They're like, "Don't die, Nolan, don't die, Nolan." So I'm not really sure, but I really doubt it was racial. I know it's in Mississippi and African Americans do have an extensive history of going missing in Mississippi, but I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that it was racially motivated. Though I will say that his friends were being extremely sketchy from start to finish, like how the fact that they came back without Nolan. They clearly knew that Nolan died based off of that phone call. And then they also had Nolan's phone, which is actually how Nolan's mother was able to find out that his friends were back and Nolan wasn't. So all in all, I think it's really sketchy. But on a lighter note, I would like to talk about something a little bit less depressing. We have this spinner. I'm not gonna lie, I was scrolling on YouTube and I saw this guy and he had a video titled My Own Woke Opinions. I'm basically doing the exact same thing, but different. Alright, so I have the spinner up right here, maybe, right here. I don't know. So let's go. TikTok knowledge, great. So when I was a child, every time that I got punished by having to go into timeout, you know, you go in the corner and you're just there, my brother would give me a chair and he would give me a dictionary and I would read. And I would read the dictionary until I was done with my punishment. Usually it was only like 10-15 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. And I think that really shaped the person I am today and the way that I approach learning. I mean, those experiences only happen to a certain amount of time. But just that mindset growing up where you have to read, you have to look at like objective sources of information, really helped me to become a person that is very skeptical of subjective sources of information where there is a lot of opinion bias. And I feel like that's a really important thing for society that is like completely missing. Based on what I see as a Gen Z individual who spent half of middle school on social media and all of high school, everybody gets information from TikTok and just social media in general. Like basically anybody that would say that they have woke opinions gets their information from social media. And you know, that's cool. There are pros and cons to it, but right now it's really just a competition to be wokest. Like it's always woke opinion this, woke opinion that, and that's cool, but what exactly is being woke? Like, so it's really just like a terminology that's thrown around, and there is a high correlation with like identifying as a leftist and also considering yourself to be extremely woke. But I think that word has been bastardized, and when people say woke, I think that they truly mean they're normal people who are closer to being centrist on the political scale, because United States is pretty right-leaning in terms of the entire thing, and then people who consider themselves leftists are really closer to centrist on the political compass, because if we're so far right of center and then they're left of that right, that means they're just closer to centrist, and most people are not true leftists. It's cool that, you know, we get our information from, or that some people get their information from TikTok, but it leads to a lot of conspiracy theories with no evidence, like the fact that my friend was telling me that they probably Nolan Wells. What? He had bruise marks on the back of his neck. The back of his neck shouldn't have injuries. Obviously, that doesn't really cover all bases. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people come up with really strange conspiracy theories, or like they'll take a shred of evidence and then just go to an extreme with it. Like with that Jeffrey Epstein case, people were telling me that on the island that they ate people, and there were a lot of absurd things that were proven to be not true, including the fact that they were eating babies and they tasted like cream cheese. That there's just no basis for that. Like the Illuminati, bro, what are we talking about? And then not only does it lead people to come up with pretty interesting ideas, it also makes people who feel that they're more woke and more leftist to kind of discriminate against people who have different beliefs than them. And honestly, it's not even just different beliefs, but it's discriminating against people who don't have any beliefs whatsoever. And honestly, I'm a little bit guilty of that, because I really will view you differently if you haven't taken the time to educate yourself on a hot topic issue. But at the same time, it doesn't justify discriminating against them and treating them some sort of way, or like talking about them in an extremely negative way rather than being more objective with it. And I personally am a really big hater of apathy, but I'm not a hater of apathetics. Meaning that if you are a person that like just doesn't care, I don't hate you, but I hate the mindset, and I blame society for that. I think society needs to raise more critical thinkers. Like, I live in the suburbs of South Jersey. The word suburbs already says it all. There's a lot of white people. And with a lot of white people means a lot of political opinions that might be myopic, just because critical race theory is not really taught to white people. Actually, it's not really taught, period. And because of that, there are a lot of Republicans in my area, and obviously Republicans breed Republican children. So very often where I go, I hear political discourse amongst kids from both sides who don't have a lot of information on what the heck they're talking about, and they would genuinely just hate on somebody for being a Republican or a MAGA. And don't get me wrong, I don't support MAGA whatsoever. I don't support majority of their ideologies, and I do not agree with the current administration. However, I don't think it's justified to completely discriminate an individual just because of their political beliefs. Just because you have to think, like, obviously politics is not just on its own isolated plane. Politics directly corresponds to how society interacts with each other, and politics affect all social rules. But at the same time, society is the one that created these individuals with these flawed lines of thinking. So you shouldn't really be hating the individual, you should be hating the system. And the thing is, you can't change an individual, or at least it's not worth it to change an individual, but you can change the system. So it's really frustrating to see people completely hate on and discriminate against people for their political beliefs. Obviously, when you get into like actual racism and you get into not just apathy, but then you use your apathy to justify your actions that are completely unjustifiable, that's when it's a little bit different. Next, gooning. So